and welcome back to my channel. I am still in my Texas location. I'm at my childhood home in Texas, and today I wanted to introduce all the manga that I own still in Texas, and which includes manga in French and manga in Japanese. When I say manga in French, I mean manga translated from the Japanese into French. It also includes manga that I haven't finished reading, which is a little bit shameful, but I'll explain why when the time comes. So yeah, let's browse my shelves. Alright, so I have two bookshelves that flank my closet, and we're going to start on the left side because that's where all the big titles are, and that's where the majority of my manga is. So we're going to start from the very, very top. You can see in the back I have these, where's my finger? There it is. I have these really large ribbon bind-ups. So when new comics are coming out chapter by chapter, they get placed into these bind-ups. And I have these, which I don't know if you can see, are from like 1999. So these are really old. I mean, I was given these from a Japanese friend who was getting rid of them, and they just looked really cool, so I kept them. But yeah, I have two major titles on this shelf. I have the infamous Hunter x Hunter by Yoshihiro Togashi. This is the French translation of the series. You can see here it's not in French. Hunter x Hunter is a series, to be honest, I have read up to volumes 32, but I actually don't really enjoy the series. I got tired of it during the Ant arc, and people have said, yeah, I kind of went down during that time, and then it went back up and got better. But I just, the lapses in publication just made me lose interest altogether, even though obviously I really like Yu Yu Hakusho from this author. So I mean, it's not that I dislike the author, but the lapses in publication are just too much, and I just decided, you know what, I'm not going to continue again with this series. But yeah. So next, in Japanese, I have Maho Sensei Negima. This is, I'm going to grab from the top because it's easier to pull out. So this is the last volume, volume 38. This series is absolutely ridiculous, but yet hilarious. This is one of the series that I have not completed. I think I'm on like volume, I don't even know, somewhere in the teens maybe. It's a series I didn't get to finish because I bought it. I actually found it in a book off in California, right around San Jose, and I got it for super cheap. It was like 50 cents a volume. But then I moved to Japan kind of shortly right after, so I only got to read about halfway through by the time I went back to Japan. So did not get to finish this, although obviously it will get finished someday. But it's absolutely absurd. It's absolutely hilarious. Basically, let me find a chapter maybe with the main protagonist. Well, here he's grown up significantly in this volume. Basically, the plot of the story is that this young teacher, he's like, I don't even remember, maybe 10 years old or something, but like genius teacher who becomes obviously like the teacher of an all-girls school. And magic is involved, and here he's significantly older. But it's just, a boy amongst a bunch of girls. And it gets really weird, but it's super hilarious. Like, the number of times I have just cracked up out loud at the series is amazing. So yeah, that's Maho Sensei Negima. Not to be confused, I think there's another series called Just Negima, which is an entirely different series. So, but this definitely recommended. Super enjoy this one. Now we go down a shelf, and you can see I have again these bind-ups. One from Shonen, this is Shonen Jump from 1999. So let's see, what series does this cover? Oh, this is a bug manga. I need to look this up actually, because I read the chapter that's in this, and it was really hilarious. And I wonder if it actually like picked up actually got published into like a few volumes. But as you can see, One Piece, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever this last one is at the end. I have no idea what that is actually. But yeah, from a bind up from 1999. This is Shaman King for sure. So yeah. Oh, and Rurouni Kenshin. So you can see this is really, really old. 1999. So now you have my Naruto, the complete Naruto series, again in the French translation. I have read the entire series of this, and I like Naruto. It was fun. It's not my favorite, to be honest. But usually like series, oftentimes like when they're very long and I've been reading them over like years and years, I tend to get tired of those kind of series, which is why I tend to binge read the series that I own. But it is, I mean, I'm not going to deny, it's a good series. It's a very, very good series. Next you have, and this, my Detective Conan manga. Here, it actually goes down to the next shelf, down here, because I don't know if you can see, but 1, 2, 3 levels. All my shelves are pretty much either double stacked or triple stacked. So behind the Naruto is like, for example, are like volumes 1 through 36 of Naruto. So everything's really stacked kind of like as best as I can so I can fit all my manga onto my shelves. But this is the French translation of Detective Conan. I am up to date. However, the Japanese publication has slowed down, which means that we've been around like the volume like 100 for a long time. So I'm up to date with Detective Conan, but it's slowed down. I think it's trying to like find a way to resolve. Or at least I've heard that the mangaka knows how it ends. He knows who the final villain is. So maybe they're just trying to resolve and they're just trying to publish everything at once. Maybe, I don't know. But it's a long series and I love it. But I am ready for it to be over, to be honest. Next, in the back of this is my Japanese Kimagure Orange Road. This is in Japanese, and I have read this. This is not a manga, it's an anime that I grew up on and absolutely loved it. If you watch Club Dorothée over the summer in France, then you would know this as Max et Compagnie. So Max et Compagnie, the characters' names were translated to French names in the old French dubs. I don't know if it's changed by now, but this series is like, it's not actually a shoujo. It's not considered to be a shoujo manga, even though it's a love triangle. Just because, I don't know, I lost my train of thought. There's a text message that popped up on my phone. But yeah, it looks lovey-dovey, and it is. It's a triangle romance. But basically what it is these, this brother and his 2 sisters move to a new town. They have magic. They have to keep it secret, of course, but they're able to do what's it called, moving objects with your mind, and then basically the main character falls in love with the protagonist Madoka, and it's basically just the shenanigans that goes with that. But I absolutely love this series. I think it's super well done. It's hilarious, and it's a wonderful like look at, I think this is 80s, just 80s Japan. That's really, really fun. All right, let's go down another level so you can see the continuation of my Detective Conan, Meitante Conan. You can see some more volumes of Naruto, which I think maybe I should put, yeah, I could probably put that on the shelf right above it. Yeah, so continuation of Detective Conan in the back. Let's start with the front. In the front, you have one of my favorite soccer manga series, although I still haven't completed it. I'm on volume 15 actually. Again, I actually owned this for a long time, but I bought it before I could actually read Japanese, to be honest. I bought it in Japan because I saw it was soccer, and I was thinking in my head, maybe this is Captain Tsubasa. I had no idea. I told you I couldn't read it all, but I bought it, and then it turns out that the art is absolutely amazing, and so I ended up buying the entire series. Like it has some of my favorite soccer related art in it. It's really cool, fast paced, and the story is really great in this one. So I should say it's called Oretachi no Fyodo, and it's really, really great because this series is about the creation of the J League, which makes it super, super interesting. And like it's not just like soccer games over and over again. It's like actual creating a new soccer league, and the protagonist actually goes abroad in realistic circumstances. Like he goes to Argentina and he plays with like the Bocas. So yeah, super, super good. My intention was to read and finish this series while I was here in the US, but in terms of timing, it just ended up not working, and I'm not going to be able to finish all the way to volume 34. It was just not going to happen. So unfortunately, I have to wait. But this series, even though I haven't even completed it, highly, highly recommended. One of the best soccer manga out there, I think personally. It doesn't have a huge following. Not many people know of it, but that's a real shame because it is amazing. Next in the back, this is gonna be, yeah, it's the continuation of my Detective Conan. I don't even know what's in the back, to be honest. I do have the entire series of Hikaru no Go. Hikaru no Go is a super, super famous Shonen Jump series. This is the French translation of it, of a kid, Hikaru, who ends up learning Go because he kind of becomes, when he uses the Go board of his father or grandfather, basically a spirit comes out of it. And that was a master Go player back in like Genji's time. So like the pre-1500s, if I remember correctly. And it's basically how he kind of becomes his own. He becomes a master of Go himself with his very like unique playing style. And this series is absolutely amazing. So let me pause the camera real quick and see what I can dig in the back to see if there's not something else hidden. All right, we're back, and as you can see, I had to take down the entire shelf to see what was back there. Turns out I have the shoujo manga Ayashi no Seres. This is by the Yu Watase, or Watase Yu, who is the same author, the same manga as the very famous Fushigi Yugi. This is the series she did after that. Maybe you can recognize the art. And as you can tell, this is the French translation. Edition Tonkam. I don't even know if this edition house even exists anymore because this is really old. Yeah, this is the French translation. It's a weird little series. Like, I enjoyed it for the most part, but then it also got kind of weird, but at least towards the back, because I think it has to do like a lot with like reincarnation and things like that. But it's very, I mean, yeah, it's like Fushigi Yugi again, but just a little bit different. But yeah, that's really, really good memories of this one. And then in the back to the right, I discovered this is where I have my French translation of Yu Yu Hakusho by Yoshihiro Togashi, one of the best manga out there, that basically one of the best manga that's ever been created. Yu Yu Hakusho is amazing. I bought this in Japanese, and it's at in my apartment in Japan because I really want to read it in the original Japanese now. But yeah, this is the French translation of Yu Yu Hakusho, which is just this really great series about our protagonist Yusuke, who dies in the very, very beginning, but he did it while saving this little girl. So even though he was a delinquent and it was expected that like nothing ever good would happen to him, because he sacrificed him to save a little girl, he's allowed the possibility to like go back, basically to not die. Except this time, as part of it, he is required to sort of act as a like guardian or kind of like a warrior for the spirit world, to like make sure the like spirits from the spirit world don't cross over into the real world. And so he develops powers based on like his spirit, based on his soul, and obviously he gets more powerful as the series goes on. And it's one of just like amazing series. It's fantastic. So yeah, Yu Yu Hakusho, can't wait to read this in the original Japanese, because the French version is amazing. So now I'm gonna pause the video again so I can reorganize my shelves. All right, now that harmony has been restored, we can go down a level. And here I have Angel Heart. Angel Heart is a sort of kind of sequel to City Hunter. City Hunter is one of my favorite series. Absolutely love it. And actually, oh wait, no, City Hunter is, oh here, I'll show you. City Hunter I have the entire series translated into French. Yeah, and if that bugs anyone, I never understood why that one single volume is blue. Never understood it. Can't explain it. I just, no idea. But City Hunter is one of my favorite manga. It's from the 80s about basically like this bounty hunter who also is, let's just say, a little bit too sexually motivated. But it's just an absolutely amazing. I mean, look at the font on this. This is old. This is one like earlier series that ever got translated into French back in the day. And good news for English readers, this is finally getting an English translation. Actually, the translator is already working on it. You can follow them on Twitter, and he talks about the translation all the time, and how he's trying to figure out how to translate all the various sexually charged words that are included in this manga. But in any case, Angel Heart, which is I have in the original Japanese, was published way later after City Hunter. This is a very modern series, and basically it kind of takes the same characters, a few of the same characters from Angel Heart. It does include not Nicky Lawson, that's his French name, Saeba Ryo, the main character, and introduces a new female character basically. So it's kind of like a sequel without being an official sequel. The mangaka doesn't consider it as a sequel, but it is the same world basically. This I have not read. I only read like the first 3 volumes. I just, I bought this and then never expected to like move to Japan. So a little inconvenient because I don't know when I'll ever be able to read this, to be honest, unless I buy it again in Japan. So we'll see what happens, but I do really want to read this. This is going to be amazing. I just know it. Right behind this is my the French translation of Shaman King. Shaman King, as I think a lot of people already know, is a really famous Shonen Jump manga series, and it was really amazing. The ending, unfortunately, basically the manga got canceled towards the very end, so they had to rush the ending, which is super unfortunate because this was one of the best manga out there. It was really, really super cool, and I still highly recommend reading it, but just know that the ending is just not satisfying whatsoever. It's just kind of like, what, like that's where you're going, which basically means it was never supposed to go in that direction, but they just had to like end it, unfortunately. So behind this, you can see I have Neon Genesis Evangelion, the French translation. This is so old that back then the French editions weren't doing the traditional flaps like the Japanese versions do. Instead, it was doing these French flaps covers. And so this is super, super old. As you can see, the later volumes, from volume 7, they started switching over to the covers, just like the Japan does. But way back in the day, they used to look like this. So yeah, this is the French translation of Neon Genesis Evangelion, which I don't think needs an introduction to any manga fans. But basically, this is an amazing series. How do you even describe this? About like the third version of Tokyo trying to survive against these sort of like alien mecha events, and they use the young children to control these things called basically like well, are they considered Gundams in the series? I don't remember. I read this so long ago. But basically, they're trying to use alien technology to fight alien technology, and it gets into this like super existential, like what is God, what is the world, etc. It's an amazing series, absolutely amazing. One of the best series out there. But yeah, this is the French translation of that. And then in the back, again, the old super versions. These have been redone in France since then, but these are these super old versions of Kenshin. So Rurouni Kenshin, which is called Kenshin le Vagabond in French. This series, to be honest, is not one of my favorite. I have read the entire thing, but I'll show you a series that I actually liked better. Now, granted, this is when I was young. Maybe if I reread both series, I would prefer Kenshin over the two. But there's another like samurai series that I read that I actually liked better and I thought was cooler, and I'll show you that in a little bit. yeah, this is the original French version of the Rurouni Kenshin that I have. There seems to be something underneath here in the back that I can't see. Oh yeah, I have a few. I'm not going to pull them out. I have a few French editions of Ranma. It's a very long series, so I never continued it, but I do have the very first volumes in French back there. Again, these same old formats that don't exist anymore, that have been like phased out in French bookstores. Fortunately, I read Japanese now, and I own Ranma 1/2 in French. Sorry, in Japanese, and I have been reading in Japanese, and it's as amazing as I remember. All right, moving on. Now that I've showed you Cinti Hunter, we're gonna go to the right of my bookshelves. We're gonna go up here where I have Nausicaa in the French translation. Oops, it's upside down apparently. I'll have to fix that later. So we have the Nausicaa, and actually since then I have bought this in the original Japanese because it's such a famous series. I figured, and now I can read Japanese. I figured I would read it in Japanese, but I do own the French version, although I've now not read. I've read neither the French version nor the Japanese version, so let's not really talk about that. Let's move on. All right, down here, this is the series that I was referencing when I said I actually like this series better than Rurouni Kenshin, and that is the series called Samurai Deeper Kyo. So you can see this is also like a samurai type series. This is the French translation of that. It's not known in Japan. I mentioned it to my friends and they had no idea what I was talking about. But I always thought the art was really cool. I liked the storyline, and yeah, I just thought the art was cooler than Rurouni Kenshin ever could do. So this is definitely a lot more like, I don't know, more oriented to guys, while I think Rurouni Kenshin is definitely more, could go either way, but I don't know, I just liked this series. I know I just showed you the very last volume, but it means nothing if you don't know the rest of the story, basically. But yeah, I actually liked this better than Kenshin. So blasphemy, I know, but it is what it is. In the back, you have my One Piece translated into French. One Piece is a series, as you can see, I have read up to volume 34, and I stopped reading it because I hadn't been to France in a very, very long time, and by the time I got back, it was already up to like volume 50 or something, and there was no way I could buy that many volumes and bring them back. So I kind of just stopped there, especially because they're so expensive in French translation. So if I were to go back and read One Piece, I would just start from the beginning and read it in Japanese, although now it's so long, I don't know if I'll do it either way. But obviously, I still like the series. It was a really good series, but it just became impractical to keep reading. I also have the entire series of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the French. Absolutely loved this series growing up. This was so much fun. Yeah, this is the French translation, and it's just basically about like basically if you take Magic the Gathering and turn it into like an actual battle type manga. But yeah, loved this series. And then here we have my Japanese Yotsubato. Yotsubato is the cutest, best manga ever. It's a Nichijou manga, basically about this little girl and her life with her father and like the neighbors. Let me do this to where I can open the pages a little better. And it's like the sweetest thing you'll ever read. It just takes everyday experiences and just like makes it so simple and joyful and pleasurable. And if you are learning Japanese and you want to start reading manga in Japanese, this is the best manga to start off with. It's like you have to read this basically if you're learning Japanese, because it's perfect for learning and it's just amazing to begin with. And this is available in English, obviously, for people who don't read Japanese. It's a very much beloved manga. It is amazing. All ages, all genders, doesn't matter. Pretty much almost anyone who reads this falls in love with this series. Do I have anything in the back? No, just the continuation of Yu-Gi-Oh! I do have the first volume of Yu-Gi-Oh! R, which is a sequel. I actually never read this, and don't really plan to because I tend to have an issue with like sequels to series. Angel Heart is kind of an exception. I mean, this could be an exception, but I ended up not being interested. And this is also when I didn't go to France for a long time. So I was like, I have no idea where the series is. The Yu-Gi-Oh! R series is going to be. There's probably going to be too many to bring home. And so I just kind of gave up on that idea. Gosh, there's so much to talk about. Down here, there's not so much. It's just the actual series, the Samurai Deeper Kill that you saw earlier. Just volumes 1 through 29. All right, down here, these I'm not going to go over. I'm just going to show you the titles because these are incomplete series. They're like, I accidentally bought 2 volumes, volume 33, just stuff picked up from like the half price bookstore thinking I might read these. These were gifted to me. Never, so not really a need to show that. You can look at the titles if you're interested. Here I have some shoujo manga. I have the entire series of Baby Love, which is actually quite cute. I quite like the art to this. I don't read much shoujo, but I do like ribbon shoujo. I like the art, that style that ribbon tends to do. This is what Shinna Ayumi, Baby Love, and like it's ridiculous. It's shoujo, but I really love the art style. I thought the story was actually quite cute. I don't read much shoujo, but I quite enjoyed this, and I thought the story was quite clever and fun, even though the age of the protagonist should be an issue, but that's besides the point. I have a single volume, like a standalone Cherries Nikampai. Like a lot of these, the shoujo manga were gifted to me. They were actually gifted incomplete, and then I completed the series last I went to Japan and just did that. Here, this is a series of shoujo manga I quite like. It's called Tante Revolution, so like Revolution Detective. It's actually about a girl detective, and this one is really good. Morimoto Rina is the mangaka, and this was actually really good. It has really great art to it. It's about a female detective, which makes it really fun. Like she's actually quite strong and has personality and ethics, and the art's really amazing. I really like this. I actually really like the shoujo manga. None of these are famous. None of these are known, but here they are. So I'm just gonna put this like here because there's a lot of standalone, 2-volume series, 2 volumes. So like very short, you're done in 2 volumes. And these are some like single standalones, super easy. Like My Boy, My Love, like these are like great for learning like beginner's Japanese. These are like the first comics that I actually read in Japanese because they're so easy. So there we go. Let me flip you back to my face. All right, I know that was a long video. I probably should have split it up between like French translations and original Japanese manga, and like shoujo manga versus shonen manga. But that would involve planning ahead. So hopefully you'll just enjoy watching like a 30-minute video on my manga. I mean, I can't help it. When you start talking about manga, you want to talk about it even more because it's just super, super fun. And like that just brought back a lot of memories for me. So that was really, really, really super fun. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.